Awesome, guys. So real basic points and miles, right? We know we earn them from sign-up bonuses. We know we earn them from category spend. Airline miles and credit card points are separate, right? If you guys have airline cards, you can only use them within their system. You can only use them with that airline. As we know, a lot of these airlines continue every single year to increase their reward redemptions as well, which is why we like to have our transferable points currencies. Amex, Cap One, Chase, Bilt, now Wells Fargo, right? So these are what we are going to be using, especially with Chase, with some of the hotel chains, with Hyatt is fantastic. So this is what we're going to be using when we're talking about transferring our points initially. Who has transferable points, right? Chase Bank, American Express, Capital One, Citi, Bilt, and now recently Wells Fargo.
And notice who's not on there, ladies and gentlemen, Navy Federal.
You beat me to it.
No.
So you guys might have cards that are travel cards with certain banks, but you're stuck within their system. You're only going to get one-to-one. You can only redeem those in their portal. You're unable to transfer them out. So something like US Bank, right? Navy Federal, Bank of America, they have travel cards, but you can't use them to get more value. It's kind of stuck. Like when you get cash back, you're only stuck with that cash back. You can use it to spend, but that's it. $500, 50,000 points.
So question, did you put Wells Fargo on the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Because they just recently added, so one of the transfer partners, Avios, right? British Airways is great.
Oh.
So you can use Avios with Qatar as well. That's actually how I ended up booking one of my flagship trip that I'll break down for you guys.
Let's stay on that slide for 1 second though. I want to go back over something on there. So talk to me about Capital One. I call it Capital One, but you travel hackers seem to love this one card with Capital One that pulls all three of your credit bureaus and gives you the hardest time with the credit limit increase. Talk to me about your relationship with Capital One.
Personally, I don't have a Capital One relationship, but I can see why.
Okay.
If you're spending on a business, or maybe you're in a solid buyers group, right? You get 2 times back with the Capital One Venture X business. Also, if you can put a lot of spend on it, they literally just had a $300,000 offer like 2 months ago.
Okay, so the Venture X business, does it report to personal credit bureaus? Because the problem with Capital One is their Spark card and stuff always reported to personal. So
I don't believe Venture X business does, but yeah, I've heard what you just said too.
So Venture X business, that's fairly a new card. I would assume I haven't really ever paid attention to them because I haven't cared. But talk about the benefit of that card.
Well, it's just 2 times back on spend. So if you're doing a lot of spending and you want, a standard 2 times back, it's fantastic.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what you spend it on. So you can earn Capital One points who have, decent, and your favorite Turkish, they can transfer into Turkish too. So,
really?
But they just have a really high sign-up bonus. It's like, I forget exactly the amount of spend, 20K for 150. And if you spent like another 15K, you'd get another 150 for 100,000.
Wow.
So like it's a lot of spend, but it's an insane sign-up bonus.
So what about Citi? So Citi obviously has the thank you points, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just got that new
Citi
card.
transfers into Turkish too.
Okay.
If you like Turkish, I know you're a big fan of Turkish, or you're wanting to tap in with them.
Of course. But so what? Why else do you like Citi points? Because I've heard Julia say she likes Citi points too.
Me? I don't even have a Citi card, I'll be honest.
What?
Not yet. I'm waiting. I want to.
What are you waiting for?
I want to get one of their personal cards, one of the Advantage cards, to be honest.
You gonna go for the executive one or no?
It has 70 or 80K sign-up bonus. So like right now, I'm very strategic about when I apply to cards and why I apply to them. Like I applied to the Aviator card for 70,000.
Did you do the business or the personal one?
Personal.
Okay.
And so then right now I'm kind of like wanting to stack AA miles.
Yep.
So
smart,
because I want to fly Qatar and Japan Airlines. So when I think about, that's also a thing with many of you as well. Like you don't have to go crazy in terms of like applications to earn points. Sometimes it's just being strategic about the points or the cards that you're applying to. Because if I understand One World and I understand how to book American Airlines flights or any of their partners within American Airlines, like Qatar, Japan Airlines, then I might just apply to a couple cards where I know I can get two or three of those flights. Yeah. And then that could be my international trips over the next year or two.
So I have a hack with this. I'm going to go over it next week, but I have a hack. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So you can go Barclays has two aviator cards, personal and business. You can apply for both of those at the same time, and you can get about 150,000 American airline miles in bonuses. One reports the personal credit, one doesn't, right? So you can, do what you do there. And then you have Citi, which has the personal and the business. Now the personal is gonna pull from Equifax, and the business is gonna pull from Experian. So you essentially can get 300,000 American airline miles off 3 hard pulls.
Which is huge.
That's massive, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over that next week, but that's absolutely massive. Talk about Amex and Chase and Bilt while you're here, and Wells.
So pretty much what I've already mentioned, right? When travel hacking, it's important to get creative. Like I have reps on the side. I think I already talked about this. Like getting more reps in allows you to kind of see other ways that you can book options. Like there's never a specific way to do something. Yes, there's foundations and like frameworks and places that you can go, right? But when you can think outside the box and you understand what's happening in all the alliances, what's happening with all the partners, that's when you really get the crazy redemptions. 3, 4, 5 cents per point is great. Like we love getting that, but when you're able to be creative and understand what's going on, and understand the alliances and the partners and the timing that you could possibly be booking with, you can get 10, 15, 20 cents per point. So if you guys don't know, most people, me included, when I initially had points, right, we're booking through the portal. When we're booking through the portal, I want to just explain this so you guys understand it. I'm sure many of you guys already do, but you're only getting a 1 cent per point value. And I'm going to break down what cent per point is just so you guys understand that too. But if it's 10,000 or $5,000 flight, it's 500,000 points. If it's $1,000 flight, it's 100,000 points. You can't really get much other value unless Amex has some little discount in cash, but there's not much more value you're going to get out of utilizing your points in the portal. I'd say sometimes maybe it makes sense with hotels if you can find a better deal in there. The portal, we're still transferring our points outside of the portal. That's where we're getting additional value.
So question for you. Since you're the best travel hacker that ever walked the face of the earth, what is your biggest travel hacking mistake? And then what's the biggest mistake you see people making? You like that, Jack? I
pretty much, it's really just this, because if you're booking through the portal and you're not someone that's going to be churning cards or naturally have the mindset of someone who's travel hacking, you're going to lose your points so much faster. And I even talk about like the whole point of travel hacking and utilizing and being strategic about the cards that you use is all about being able to conserve them the right way, leverage them for better redemptions, and find ways to multiply your points.
That's good stuff.
The right cards in the right places. If you're a business owner and you have the right cards in the right places, that's the difference between you earning 250,000 points a year to 1 million points a year, which is a lot more travel.
Shamari, I see your question. We're gonna make sure that question gets answered tonight for the people that hang out to the end. Yep, that's good. Good stuff. Got to eat that question for you. Let's see what you got later on.
But yeah, same thing on the Chase side. Yes, you can get additional redemption value with the Chase Preferred, Chase Reserve, 1.25 to 1.5 cents. As you can see, right, $313 trip. That's for the Reserve, 20,000 points. There's still better ways to get value, which is our transfer partners. So this is probably better, where I said, in terms of like finding some hotel redemptions, if you can do that. But I like to stick hotel points with the hotels. And this is kind of how I look at points in general. Cashback, right? You're getting your cash back and you can use it, towards buying stuff on Amazon. But I look at points as like the stock market. And I'm sure many of you guys invest. You guys understand if you put $100 in, you get $200 out, 100% return. You're pretty damn happy with. Points, we can put $1 in, get $3, $5, $10 out. And we get a lot of that value with airline redemptions. So I look at points as like the stock market. It's a way for me to multiply my points and be able to have like these incredible experiences that are $10,000, like an Emirates flight, that I wouldn't necessarily pay for, or I've ever really had the chance to experience. So you may hear all the time from a lot of points and travel hackers like myself, or when we post about a redemption, it's going to be cost per point or cent per point. You guys may be confused on how that value is figured out. So I just got an example for you guys. This is a domestic trip. International trips, they're going to have more taxes and fees. So that's where that comes more into play. But you basically take the cash cost, you minus the taxes and fees, and then you divide it by the number of points. So I actually do a lot of domestic bookings because I'm from Minneapolis, St. Paul. I actually am able to find a lot of stuff through Virgin Atlantic with Delta. And of course, Virgin Atlantic has a lot of transfer bonuses all the time too. So if you take this, an example, this is an exact trip I took. It was literally $320 one way, minus taxes and fees, divide it by the amount of points, utilize a transfer bonus too. I got 4 cents per point on a domestic booking. Now, if you guys have status with an airline too, all of a sudden you just got, if you got upgraded, and I'll talk about how I did some status matching just recently, where I have a medallion with Delta, and I have kind of this exact flight set up. So now I might end up being, you could book an economy flight. Now I might end up being upgraded into first class. Now I got a $600, $700 flight for super cheap. But this is how you guys determine cost per point or cent per point if you guys hear it thrown around.
That's a good breakdown, because a lot of people never really explain that too well. The only person that could say that did it just as good as you is Ask Sebi. Like, Ask Sebi can break that stuff down just like you. So thanks for that technical breakdown, because I know a lot of people probably have thought that or considered that. It's, your points are worth a lot more than you think that they're worth. Just
sorry, for sure. That's why that's why we love points.
Yep.
And this is the same exact example, but an international trip. And this is actually a trip that I helped a friend of mine last year book for his honeymoon. So before his wedding, if you guys know anyone that has a wedding coming up, they have a lot of expenses. This is a great time to be applying to cards and earning sign-up bonuses. So I basically set up a sequence for him to utilize to hit sign-up bonuses, so then that his honeymoon could then be paid for. So we ended up getting them the 777 on Air France. Cash cost of those flights during the summer were $5,800 a pop. So Air France actually has pretty low taxes and fees. If you guys don't know, if you fly into London or the UK, they usually have a lot of very high taxes and fees. So if you're going to Europe, you could possibly look at other places, other cities, so you're not paying those taxes and fees. But this would just be an same exact example, but international, minus the taxes and fees, divide it by the amount of points. At the time, there was a transfer bonus as well. So it really only cost 56,000 points for a $5,800 flight. And if you were to take the one-to-one value in the portal of 56,000 points, that's $560. It's $560 for a $5,800 flight. So we got about 10 cents per point there. Thanks for the transfer bonus too. So that's just international one for you guys to check out. And so this was his first time like jumping in to points and miles, and we were able to book that for him. And imagine that, your first time jumping into points and miles. I help him book it, and then you get to fly first class in the 777 ER. So this is pretty much what that looks like. They ended up going to Italy. So what we did was we flew to Paris, and then they took a flight into Italy. And so pretty incredible. I actually did, when I lived in Barcelona, I did quite a few, but I actually did a couple solo trips in northern Italy, like Cinque Terre, that photo in the middle. Actually, really cool place. There's a bunch of small little like villages that you can hike to in each one, or you can take a subway in between both, or like a train. Really cool area to check out. They also let me know as well, when they're in Paris, CDG, that airport, they flew business class into the airport, and they had another flight, but they weren't flying business class into Italy because it's really easy to get around in Europe and flying. So what I told them to do is, when you get there, you're in France, it's your honeymoon, you just flew business class, you might as well ask the main Air France lounge to see if you can have access during your layover. Ended up doing that because it's an event for them, their honeymoon, and they actually did fly business class on the way there. They let them in their 4-hour layover. They actually got to experience the business class lounge, even though they weren't technically supposed to have access. So never hurts if you guys are on like a big trip, a honeymoon, an anniversary or something like that, might as well ask.
But beware, the moment you step foot in business class or first class, you are eternally screwed, because you will always be hooked on wanting to lay down on the plane, having champagne on the plane. You just can't explain it to somebody, Zach, that's never experienced it, right? Like Emirates first class is a whole nother level. Like Qatar first class is a whole nother level. It's just, when you're going on a 10-hour flight, 15-hour flight, even 8-hour flight, 4-hour flight, I feel like you're sleeping on clouds. Like it's amazing.
It really just opens up your mind, right?
Yeah.
It wants you to do more things, to see new places. Like you're like, holy crap, this is pretty amazing. I want to do this more often. Like a lot of people have that, oh crap, I don't want to go back to economy. So
I flew, bro. My last first class flight was from Jakarta, Indonesia to Dubai to Barcelona, and Barcelona to Mexico City, all first class on Emirates, bro. It was amazing. I will never fly around the world again without being on Emirates first class. Like I've been on all of them. I just love Emirates.
That's the way to go. Yeah, Emirates is the premier, right?
Yeah.